Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Manchester United versus Chelsea preview, plus your latest Manchester United news. Very interesting stuff coming in relation to Sir Jim Ratcliffe liking Gareth Southgate from Ben Jacobs this afternoon as well. Also a few other bits, but look, let's start off talking about this game against Chelsea. Look, if we lose this game, we've got 4 points from 15, and it doesn't matter whether you're Amorim in, Amorim out, Amorim shake it all about, you are going to be in a relegation battle based on that amount of points. Now, I don't for 1 second think that that means that Manchester United would sack Ruben Amorim, but 4 points from 15, regardless of your start to the season, I think Wolves had this last year where they had a bad, difficult fixtures. You can't go, yeah, we're in a relegation zone, but we've had a bad start to the season. The reality is the reality. So, of course, after this, you've got Brentford and Sunderland to come, but it's still really difficult games for Manchester United and a really difficult situation. And also, let's not forget, Arsenal, Burnley, Chelsea are home games as well. So 3 of our first 5 games would have been at home, 4 points from 15 if we lose. I think Chelsea come into this favourites. I don't think they come into it big favourites because I think we have this history of turning up in these types of games. But I watched Chelsea last night, and the big worry I have is that Bayern Munich, I think, are probably the best team in Europe at the moment. They're playing really well. But Chelsea stayed in the game. I don't know how they stayed in the game, but they stayed in the game. They very nearly made it 3-2. Cole Palmer was just offside. Their midfield is very dynamic. I look at their midfield, and it's everything we don't want to face. However they construct it, whether it's Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, or they go Reece, James, Caicedo, and Enzo like they did last night with Enzo more advanced. I just see the positions Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer take up, and you can see that cutback and a goal 3 or 4 times. It worries me what he'll do with the midfield because Agate can't do it all. We saw that last week, and I just think that these types of players as well, Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, they're going to eat Bruno Fernandes for dinner in a midfield battle. So I think it's a difficult game. What I would say about Chelsea is they can be quite wasteful themselves, and also defensively I think you can get at them, and it's Old Trafford with 75,000 people in it. I'm going to say from the start, I don't think we'll lose. I can see United getting something out of it. In fact, I'm going to say we're going to win, and I'm going to be in a massive minority, but that's just my feeling. I've had it for a couple of weeks. But even if we don't win, I think we'll get a point out of it. But this is how I think Amorim will line up, by the way. I think I'm hoping he's going to put Le Mans in goal because at some point, surely that's what you've got to do. A very interesting comment from, we'll go into it in more depth after we've done the preview section, but a very interesting comment from Ben Jacobs when he was talking to Beth this afternoon is that the hierarchy of Man United, i.e. the board, believe that this Man United side is good enough to compete minimum for the top 6. Worst case scenario, Europa League football, but they want Champions League football. They're having a bloody laugh. This is what I mean. I am genuinely starting to get very concerned about some of the stuff that's coming out of this football club over the last 18 months. We want to believe that Manchester United can get better, but some of the decision making is really rubbish, shocking, in fact. And if they think that this squad is a top 4, top 5 team, they're having a laugh. It's just, I'd love to sit down, Omar, Sir Jim, Jason Wilcox, and say, we're not better than Arsenal, we're not better than Liverpool, we're not better than Chelsea, and we're not better than Man City across a 38-game season. We're also not better than Newcastle and Spurs. So how the hell are you lot sitting there thinking you're a top 6 team? You're not. Repeat it after me, you're not. Doesn't mean it can't happen. We might be able to do it if everything goes our way, but to be expecting it, you're an idiot, and you're an idiot. Because it's mad. I don't see this United side as a top 6 side. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but it worries me. Jakesy says that lineup's not going to beat Chelsea. This is my predicted lineup. It's not my lineup. So I think he will play Le Mans in goal because why wouldn't you? Biinda is, he cost us certainly 1 goal last week. It's almost like he's costing us a goal a game at the moment. So if your starting goalkeeper isn't good enough, isn't long term, and is costing you a goal a game, please tell me why you wouldn't throw a young lad in. What are we protecting him from? Biinda factually is costing us goals. He's not long-term and he's not good enough. So why the hell would you not put Lemens in? We've spent £20 million on a goalkeeper. It's not cheap, by the way. I know it's not what you'd spend on Donnarumma or Costa, but £20 million is still not cheap. We're treating him like he's a bloody trainee from bloody Belgium. Like, you know, that's a lot of money. I think throw him in. With regards to the back five, I can't see any change. Dorgu left wing back, Mazraoui right wing back, Shaw, De Ligt, Yoro. I'd take Luke Shaw out of the team. I think he's a little bit like Bienda. I think he costs us every game. I'm not saying he's horrific, but he makes a big mistake every game, Luke Shaw, and he's been doing it ever since he came back. I would take Luke Shaw out and maybe play Harry Maguire there. He's done it for England, or maybe even Aiden Heaven, but I think he will go with Luke Shaw. The midfield, I mean, look, if he doesn't pick Bruno Fernandes in the midfield at the weekend, he probably gets a load of fans back on side saying give him time. But he is going to put Bruno Fernandes in the midfield because I think one of the things that might be quite admirable about Amorim if we were playing well is his stubbornness. Unfortunately, stubbornness is a terrible thing when you're not getting the results. So I think he will play Bruno. Agate probably is the right option to play when you're going to be playing against Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo because he's the only one, he's more aggressive in the tackle than Mainu and he's quicker than Casemiro. So really, what you should be doing in a game like this, by the way, absolutely, number one is you should be playing a midfield of Mainu and Agate or Agate and Casemiro. Like that should be priority number one. Absolutely, you should put two midfielders. If you're only going to play with two midfielders against Chelsea, they've got to be midfielders. But I think he'll pick Bruno. And then the front three will be Ahmad, Mbeumo and Sesko, I think. Now, what I would do is I would move Bruno where Ahmad is. I would move Ahmad to the bench because he's not been very good this season. And I would put either Mainu or Casemiro next to Agate. That, to me, is what I would do in a game like this where you need to be competitive to win a game. I think sometimes in the Premier League, you've got to fight to win. You've got to battle to win. Funnily enough, like a battle, you know, there's a battle and, you've got to fight to win it. I think if you put Bruno where Ahmad is and you put Casemiro or Mainu where Bruno is, we'd be a much better team and we'd be much better equipped. But I just can't see him moving Bruno out the midfield. And Ahmad hasn't been very good. And I'm a massive fan of Ahmad and I know all you are, but the best thing about being a fan is being honest with yourself. And, Ahmad has not been good this season so far. And there is also such a thing as impact. I mean, I don't really want to talk about Garnacho, but at some point on Saturday evening, he will come on. I don't think he will start, he will come on. And that's going to be a very tempestuous atmosphere when that happens. Don't expect a Man United player to do anything other than shake his hand, by the way. Welcome to Manchester United. I guarantee you, I'm just going to give you a little bit of advice. Expect hugs, shakings of the hand with Garnacho at the weekend. I mean, this is a guy who was walking around in a Villa shirt, but our players are so locked in on their priorities and passion for Man United, they'll be shaking his hand and giving him a hug, guaranteed. But when he comes on, he could change the game for Chelsea. So why don't we have a game changer on the bench? Why don't we approach a game a little bit tactically and go, we're going to put Bruno at 10, going to play Casemiro with Agate, we're going to fight them for the first hour, and then in the last half an hour, I've got people like Mainu and Ahmad that can come on and lift the crowd. Why do we have to play all our cards from minute one? And that's certainly the way I would look at it. I've got a super chat here from Swag Dad in Baghdad. He says, this is Amorim's final cry to be sacked. He just needed a noble cause to fall on. Never benching the captain of the club. Not a bad look upon exit. And Matthew H says, lose and he's out. Nick Hayen is Bruges number one. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Whatever happens at the weekend against Chelsea, he will not get sacked. I think even if we got turned over 4-0, he won't get sacked. It won't be this game that does it. But obviously, with every poor performance, you move closer and closer to that potential outcome. Where this game will be won and lost, yet again, will be in the midfield. Absolutely. And the scary thing is, I think Chelsea have got a much better midfield than us. Now, we have seen against Arsenal and Aston Villa at home, who have better midfielders than us, we have been competitive. Let's hope that we can do, because we're certainly owed a performance on Saturday, really big time. Right, now I want to talk about some of the stuff that we saw from Ben Jacobs this afternoon, because I think it's really interesting. Oh God, why do people tweet people who don't know anything, who just regurgitate everybody else's stuff? Right, get that off my timeline. I'm ready to block them. Let's have a quick look here. So, what are we got? I'm on the wrong page. So, within the Manchester United hierarchy, my understanding is, this is from Ben Jacobs, within the Manchester United hierarchy, my understanding is that they feel they've built a team good enough to at worst qualify for European football, and their best case scenario to contend for the top 4 or top 5 in the Champions League. I'm not so sure, based on the sources I speak to, that this is quite a Graham Potter situation where there's 3 games between now and the international break in October and somehow results have to turn around, otherwise there'll be another managerial change. What I do think is if we get towards Christmas and if the season progresses, whether short or medium term, and they're not in the race for top 5 or top 6, Europa League at worst, then Amorim is going to be under pressure. So yeah, it feels like it might be a little bit more longer term when it comes to Amorim. But then again, I do think that that might make it more short term. If you're Amorim out, that would be music to my ears that our incompetent board think we're a top 5 side, because we will be a long way off top 5 very, very quickly by the looks of things. He also goes on to say that there's always been an element of succession planning simply because that's what well-run clubs do. Anyway, I don't think it'll be Michael Carrick or Jose Mourinho. These are not the names I'm hearing. Many of the names they appreciate date back to the original process when they hired Ruben Amorim. But of course they were looking at other names. One of those is Southgate. That was widely reported at the time. I'm not yet aware as to whether he's ready to dive back into club management, but what we know is he was definitely discussed, and that was specifically something that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was driving. So look, at the end of the day, yet again, it's scary, scary time, isn't it, at Manchester United? Because yet again, what we're hearing is that it's actually Sir Jim Ratcliffe that is driving this, which I just find terrifying. I mean, this guy's the guy in charge of Manchester United. He hasn't got a bloody clue. He hasn't got a clue. This is exactly the quote from Ben Jacobs. I think if there was to be a change, you'd be looking at Southgate because of the relationship with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I mean, you know what? There's a lot of Amorim outers. Are you that naive that you would sack Amorim for Southgate? And don't say anything's better than Amorim. I mean, God, this is what you're singing for. And you know what? I'm not even attacking the Amorim out movement. I'm just saying, even if you're justifiably correct that Amorim needs sacking, wow. Absolutely wow. That's what this absolute moron in charge of this football club thinks. Lifelong Man United fan, I absolutely do not believe it. I absolutely refute and refuse to believe that he's a Man United fan. I just don't, and I don't need to start, calling him names or anything like that. There's just no need. He's absolutely clueless. He's got no idea. What about him thinks he knows anything about football? I mean, for the love of God, let's sit down and have a chat. Because if you can sit me down talking about football, Sir Jim, you'll be a legend. But I guarantee you can't. You don't know anything about football. You would be the easiest conversation with somebody to beat about football because you are absolutely out of your depth. You've got no idea. You think this is a top 4 team. You think Southgate's a Man United manager. What are you talking about? The reason he can't get a fucking job is because he's shit. He wasted the best England setup I've ever seen in my life with shitty tactics. He was a crap coach before England. He was a crap coach at England, and he's an even crapper one now. And you're associating him with Manchester United. This is the guy that owns Manchester United, by the way. This is the guy that's meant to save us from the Glazers. He hasn't got a bloody clue. Now, obviously, Sir Jim Ratcliffe might be sat there at home going, I'm not happy about this. I don't want Southgate, in which case you need to have a word with Ben Jacobs. But look, it's time and time again that we hear it from decent journalists. that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is an admirer of Southgate and quite likes the idea of him being a Man United manager. And look, if you're a United fan saying Southgate's better than Amorim, I mean, you just simply don't know football. I'm sorry. Amorim may need to lose his job, but Southgate, as an Englishman, my God, his football is shite. Absolute shite. I always said it was crap. There was a lot of England fans that didn't like Southgate throughout his whole reign, but some people used to sing that stupid song, was it Sweet Caroline, ruined it forever, because every bloody party you go to, people go Southgate, Southgate, and I say, get out, get out. But at the end, in the end, everybody turned on Southgate. All the England fans wanted him gone because he's boring. He's a boring coach with crap tactics. He should be a bloody politician. And if Man United go anywhere near him, I'm sorry, I'm going to break my own rule. I'll be out for a manager very, 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 very early. I'll probably say Southgate out at his welcoming press conference. So careful what you wish for, because this is not what I want to be hearing at all. Because I don't actually think Amorim's going to turn this around. I want him to, and obviously I'm still Amorim in, but I genuinely think he's heading towards the sack anyway. And if Southgate's the guy we go for next, and remember, he's ridiculously cheap. He's cheap because he's out of a job. This is going to be music to... And look, honestly, I don't need to tell you this. You know this already. If we sack Amorim, it costs us millions of pounds. We're not going to spend £1 million on the next guy. They'll go for somebody who's cheap and free. And who's cheap and free? Mr. Southgate. It's absolutely crazy. But look, somebody said to me, and people are saying it in the chat, do you genuinely believe that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants Southgate? The scary thing is, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I believe it? Credible people are saying it, and everything Sir Jim has done over the last 18 months has been rinsed in pure incompetency. So I'm sorry if there is two opinions in the room and you've got to associate Sir Jim Ratcliffe with them. One of them's really good footballing brain and one of them's really stupid. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump towards stupid, because I actually think our ownership is out of its depth. I've seen nothing that suggests they know what they're doing. I mean, you bring in a guy from Sporting who plays a completely different formation, and this is the kicker. I mean, this is the kicker, right? You have a guy who plays a formation we've never played in our history. You have a guy that's very successful and is obviously the hipster coach. But his system is absolutely, wholly inappropriate for Manchester United. In fact, if you were looking at the Premier League a year ago with Sporting's Amorim and saying which club would he go to and do well at, Man United probably wouldn't even be in the top 10. Because systematically, you'd say Liverpool players, Man City players, Arsenal players, Newcastle players, you know, clubs that actually can play a three at the back. We would be the worst club out of all the big teams that you'd go, that's a good fit. That's a good fit. I genuinely look at the Man United squad and think the problem is they need to play a more expansive 3-4-3 where they're good on the ball and they create loads of chances and they're really energetic. You'd look at that and go, that's a terrible fit. An absolutely terrible fit. But we got excited about it because we thought, well, if they're going for Amorim, they must have a vision. And if they have a vision, it must be a big spend, because nobody looked at Amorim coming to Man United and thought, well, just, you know, that's it, we're cooking. You know, everybody thought you're going to need to spend between $500 million and $1 billion in the next 3 years. And we've seen in the last two transfers windows, that's not the case. So basically what we did with Amorim is what everybody knows we did with Amorim. We went, there's a good manager, that'll work. That's it. That was literally the plan. There's a good manager, that'll work. These are the people running the football club into the ground. They have got no idea what they're on about. Oh, we've spent 200... At the end of the day, we've spent £200 million. I would not be surprised if we're winning the league in May. You know, I genuinely wouldn't, Omar. Or Jason. I think you've done a great job. And, you know, in my line of business, if you spend money, you win. There's just no way. These are the people running the football club, and the scary thing is, in any walk of life, it's like putting Stevie Wonder at the wheel and saying, drive us to Cornwall. You might get there, but you're going to be bloody lucky, you know? And that's how I feel about Man United now. I just think there's too much evidence that it's not about time. It's not about bad luck. They really just don't know what they're doing. And we probably should have listened to every Nice fan who warned us and everybody else who warned us. But we always get locked in hope. And when Amorim gets sacked, there'll probably be people hoping that Southgate can pull it back. And, you know, maybe the Stretford end will be singing Sweet Caroline, Southgate, Southgate, when we finish fucking 7th playing shit football. But I tell you what, that you know, when you think about whether anything can get any worse, that's when I realised things can get a lot worse. Gareth Southgate stood on the touchline as Man United manager. I mean, let me just go through the vast array of jobs that have come up in the time since he left England. West Ham, Everton, Brentford. None of them went anywhere near him. Not even an interview. And these are bottom half table clubs. Nowhere near it. No, not even an interview. I said when he was England manager, he won't get a Premier League job. No Premier League club will go anywhere near him. Maybe Crystal Palace because he used to play for them, but nobody will go anywhere near him. Apart from Man United. Incredible. Incredible. I heard a pundit say they gave Amorim a window. I started laughing profusely, says Constantine. I know it's the ownership's fault, but if I handed you Seb's team Sunday and you knew the midfielders were bad, would you play just 2 midfielders, says Parker. But Parker, we don't just play 2 midfielders. That's just massively naive. We don't play with 2 midfielders. The goal we conceded against Manchester City, we weren't sat there with 2 midfielders. We had a back 5. The 2 wide players tucked in. Sesko was behind the ball. They still carved us open and Bruno lost his man. I mean, look, the hilarious thing about that first goal against Man City is you couldn't have a more compact setup against Man City. Everybody was behind the ball. We were tucked in. And Foden still ended up with a tap in because Bruno didn't run with him. And that it's not about the system. It's not about 2 midfielders. It's about who the 2 midfielders are. I'd rather finish 15th again with Amorim and give him another window than finish 7th with Southgate, says Scott. Not saying I want it, but Southgate makes sense, as Robert. No, it makes no... Robert, we're going to fall out, mate. We're literally going to fall out. I've supported this club all my life. I know what Manchester United is. My granddad is not here anymore. He brought me up on people like George Best and the Busby Babes. Don't ever tell me that absolute prat should be anywhere near this football club. It would be basically shitting all over Old Trafford in a big blimp. He should not be anywhere near our club. He's got nothing to do with it. He's never played for it. He's got no idea about it. He's shit. His tactics are shit. He should be nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. And unless you've rage baited me, in which case you've done a great job, Robert, Southgate should not be anywhere near the words Manchester United makes sense. Absolutely not. He is absolutely everything this club should never be. And if it is this, well, it tells you everything about where this club is going, because it ain't going anywhere. Could you imagine? Very, very quickly, where does this football club need to be? Desperately. Where do we need to be like yesterday? The Champions League. We need to be in the Champions League yesterday. You think Gareth Southgate's going to take Man United to the top 5? Absolutely not. The guy's fucking rubbish. All he would do is come in and go, let's have a cuddle. Get the inflatables out. I've seen the new pool. Right, what we're going to do is we're all going to get in a cuddle. We're all going to appreciate and respect each other. Yeah? We're all going to get on. We're all going to have everybody's back. 10 o'clock every night, we're playing cards. What do you want for dinner? Yeah? Do you want any sweets? Right, okay. Then what we're going to do on the pitch, because we all like each other, we're all going to have each other's back. We'll get the inflatables out if you win, right? All we're going to do is park the bus and concentrate on moments and counter-attacking, yeah? And everyone's going to have a go at us, but as long as we're together, liking each other, having a laugh, we just sit back, soak it up, and wait for a moment from Bruno or Cunha, okay? That's the plan. It will be dead boring, everyone will moan, but that's what the plan is. Because that's basically what England's plan was. It was fucking rubbish. Christine says, board is delusional. How many times are we going to change managers? We needed to get rid of more players and buy new ones. Arteta, Klopp and even Fergie had years. Radcliffe and Glazers need to sell the club. 100%, Christine. They need to sell the club, or they need to get people in who know something about football. Because if Sir Jim Radcliffe sat there saying, I think we should get Southgate. Oh my God. It's such a bad football take. He should be putting a statement out tonight saying, I've never said that. Because if it's not true, I admit he needs an apology. But unfortunately, I think he's never denied it, has he? Who gave up already? The players or Amorim, says JB. And this is Amorim's final cry to be... I've done that one from Swagdad. Thank you very much. Okay, there's a few other things I wanted to go through as well. Cunha. So this was interesting from Ben Jacobs. Cunha has been working with a personal trainer and he's been telling people he'll be ready for the Chelsea game. Let's see if Ruben Amorim agrees. Now, this is really positive news. But remember, we've had 3 different updates from people close to the ground at Manchester United, starting 3 days after the injury itself in the international break, 2 weeks ago, and we've had a couple in the last week or so. Amorim is out of the equation. Cunha has always been of the opinion that he's back. He wants to play. I think he'd have been involved in the Manchester derby. He certainly wants to play against Chelsea. He has been working really, really hard. He wants to be involved. The club won't allow it. The club won't do it. You know? So I think that in relation to Cunha, absolutely he could be playing on Saturday, but they're not going to do it because the computer said no. I don't think he'll be anywhere near it. I would love to be proven wrong on that because I think the player is saying, let me play, let me be involved. But even if he was fit, they'd go, give him half an hour because he's only not played for a while. All my friends like watching United with me so they can laugh at my pain. When will this end, says Nelson. And would you support the board if they showed some ambition and went for Luis Enrique? He's a very good coach. Yeah, but we're not going to do that, Ryle. We're not going to do that. Parker Southgate sounds like a cool nanny. Last season, we took apart Bilbao, who had the second best defensive record in Europe with Casemiro and Ugarte. Bruno wasn't in the midfield. Why change, says Acid23? Because ultimately, Amorim does not like Bruno Fernandes as a midfielder. As a number 10. He doesn't like Bruno to play as a number 10. Even when we played in pre-season in one of the games, he played well as a number 10, but he doesn't like to do it. So I don't think he will. If Glinios think we need a manager who raises the floor instead of the roof, please let it be anyone else than Southgate, says Perk. Thank you very much for that. Southgate plays 3 at the back every easy transition, says John Davies. And Robert McCormack says, problem is it's boring now and we lose every week. But that doesn't mean you go and get boring as a replacement. In relation to Man Utd, I'm not aware anything is developing in January, says Ben Jacobs. And I tell you what, I'm so bloody hot. I'm so hot. We're trying to get the kitchen floor to dry with underfloor heating. And the whole house is bloody boiling. I'm actually in my boxer shorts. I'm so hot. Oh my God. I have to take my socks off. I've never been this hot in my bloody life. Oh, God. Anyway, back to it. This one was also interesting from Ben Jacobs. Some players feel there needs to be a more direct connection between manager and player, and they feel he needs to go out of his comfort zone more. However, the senior players are pointing back and addressing the group, saying it's not just the system or the manager, the players are underperforming. I don't like any of this. I don't like any of this. So at the end of the day, you've got some players feeling that Amorim's not that well connected to the players. Then you've got the senior group saying, no, he is. The players need to do better. I don't like the senior leadership group. Delow, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Tom Heaton, Bruno Fernandes. I don't mind them as individuals, but they don't perform on the pitch. So I just don't like what I'm hearing coming out of the club in relation to the players. Like, what? It just feels like the heads are starting to drop, doesn't it? And I think that, to me, is a big problem that we ultimately have to resolve very, very quickly. The best thing you can do, results drive change. There's no two ways about it. Results do drive change. And that's what we need to see at United, because we can't just keep going round and round on this cycle of constant change and constant... It's so damaging. It's obviously so damaging that every year now we're talking about sacking managers and changes. So, yeah, I think it's really, really weird. But We have been here before. We've been here so many times, and it just keeps happening and happening. Southgate would get us to a final just to lose, says Liam. He wouldn't get us anywhere near a final. I mean, let's also not forget that international football is crap. Like, international football is like playing Ultimate Team against people who have crap cards, and you've got all the good ones. Every time he played anyone decent, he got found out. It's a lot slower. He's not a good coach. I actually think if they give Southgate the job, we could end up getting relegated and going bankrupt, because who would he even bring in, you know? Who would he even bring in? Why is it a 7 o'clock show? Because I'm watching Napoli with Rasmus and Scott McTominay against Man City, and I'm watching Newcastle against Rashford and Barcelona. 8 o'clock kickoffs on That's Football. Very much looking forward to it. Got to change until we get it right. We're putting up with this dross at the moment. No, David. Sorry, David. That is the worst opinion I've seen tonight. And maybe people will champion you, but you've got to change it till you get it right. No, maybe sometimes you need to stick with it. We should have stuck with Jose. 100% should have stuck with Rangnick. So we've already missed twice, but we didn't realise at the time. You can't. This is not working, and I suppose this just evidences what some people do and why we fail. Let's keep changing it until we get it right. Well, what if we never get it right? There's no rule book that says keep changing it until we get it right. As I said, Rangnick shouldn't have gone. We changed that. Jose shouldn't have gone. We changed that. So, you know, some people even think we should have kept with Ten Hag, but I mean, I'm not so sure about that. Right, I'm gonna have to go. I'm so fucking hot. I'm sorry about this. I do not know what's going on, but I have never been so bloody hot. Maybe because I'm stood up. I'm going to be on That's Football in about 5-10 minutes time. I will see you over there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate you. I'm going to go with the Man United win. No one's going to agree. I'm going to go with the Man United win. I'm going to go 2-0 to Manchester United. Take care. Speak to you all in a bit.